I'm really honored and happy to be here today because I think it is no secret that the current relationship between Africa and France is complicated. And in order for us to build a relationship that addresses issues that affect not only Africa, not only France, but the globe, then it's important for us to interrogate this very complicated relationship and ask ourselves three things. One, what is not efficient? Two, what is not ethical? Three, where do we see integrity gaps? And to be able to do these three things, we're going to have to be brutally honest. The history of colonization is understandably very important. For Africa, it's a path that is as painful as it is destructive. And the effects of colonization can still be felt to date. And I'm not just saying economically, but even on an interpersonal level. We, as Africans, feel the pain of colonization every single day. Now, the lack of a clear and strong acknowledgement of the continent's pain on this destructive past results in skepticism. And the absence of actions that will further push the acknowledgement is also a major issue in the current France and Africa relationship. In fact, the air of denial that France chooses to sit in is uncomfortable, not only for Africa, but also for France. And it does no good for either one of us. How can you trust the source of your pain when the source doesn't acknowledge it? What we end up with is skepticism on what exactly does France stand for. And so we ask you, Mr. President, how strong can a relationship that is built on pain, that is built on skepticism, and that is built on lack of trust really be? We, not just as a team here, but all of us in this room, and the 5,000 who helped with the report, and the millions more on the continent and off of the continent, want a commitment from you, Mr. President, that you will join us in the eradication of La France-Afrique, which is a very unfair dominance, and it has to end. Furthermore, the breakdown in understanding what France fully stands for is fueled by the continued collaborations that France has with agencies, leaders, and individuals who have glaring integrity issues, whilst on the other hand, claiming to be standing for human rights. So on one hand, we have France that is entrenched in issues around racism, around exploitative dominance, and whilst on the other hand, they're still claiming to teach others about democracy. These are two profiles that one cannot fill at the same time. And when you try to do that, we find it rather arrogant. What it creates is a cognitive dissonance, which is that discomfort you feel because of these two conflicting values. It not only doesn't make sense, it is unsustainable, it births a negative perception, and an ambiguity in knowing once again what values does France stand for. Now, it is very clear, because we are all here, that the current relationship is imbalanced. It's not collaborative, and in some instances, it's exploitative. We have social impact solutions built without any input from relevant African civil society organizations who are a resource when it comes to really understanding problems on the ground and creating solutions that run efficiently. And they're a resource that Africa is willing to lend to France. Let's also not forget that whilst we in this room are here because we want to change and repair this relationship, there are some who are benefiting from this current dysfunctional relationship, be it private businesses from France on the continent with non-ethical practices, or corrupt individuals and groups from both France and Africa. This group, and the lack of a very loud and public condemnation of this, obviously fuels skepticism. So this honest interrogation is a very important first step, because the strengths and weaknesses of this current relationship will dictate the success or failure of our collective future relationships. But we